That down, let's move on to this, shall we? Spider-Man 4 is coming, and we got our first new casting news, and it's big. Stranger Things star, and one of the stars of the Academy Award-winning film The Whale, Sadie Sink, has been cast, according to Deadline, to join Tom Holland in the next Spider-Man movie. And if you're like me, you might be surprised to find out she's turning 23 in a couple of weeks. I know, like when I think of Sadie Sink, I still think of her as a little kid, but
Yep.
she's turning 23 years old. Now, this comes to us from Deadline, wrote the following. Exclusive. With production set to start later this year on the next installment of the Spider-Man franchise, series star Tom Holland looks to have found a new co-star. One who is no stranger to popular IP. That's terrible, by the way. Sources tell Deadline that Stranger Things star Sadie Sink is set to join the sequel from Sony Pictures and Marvel Studios. Holland is set to return as Peter Parker. Destin Daniel Cretton, of course, the guy who did such a marvelous job directing Shang-Chi, is directing with Amy Pascal and Marvel president Kevin Feige producing. Okay. First of all, this is huge. Okay, take Sadie Sink's name out of it for a second. This is the first new casting for this Spider-Man thing. This is the what? The tangibilization of Spider-Man 4. This is the first real signs of life that this is a real thing. Now, of course, everybody's going to be talking about, okay, well, who is Sadie Sink going to be playing? A lot of people are already saying, I saw in the live chat, a lot of say, oh, but clear, she's going to be Mary Jane. She ain't going to be Mary Jane, guys. Spider-Man already has his MJ. It's not the classic Mary Jane, but he's not going to meet another MJ, okay? He's got his love interest. It's Zendaya. That's it.
That'd be a real weird and specific kink.
Yeah, I only get turned on my girls
women
with the initials.
These 2 initials.
What's your name?
Makes things simple.
Maralissa Jansen. Great.
Perfect.
Let's hook up. So here's who she's going to be playing. I'll tell you who she's going to be playing. She's going to be playing Jean Grey. Now, that's not an official thing, but if you guys remember, a couple of months ago, we covered a story, and we had said that we ourselves had heard some back channel whispering that Marvel was talking with Sadie Sink to potentially be Jean Grey, right? That was out there before. And that would make perfect sense. This would be an excellent opportunity to start introducing X-Men characters, more X-Men characters. We got some at the end of the Marvels and stuff like that. But to get a new one in here, this would be perfect. Now, of course, it does also give you the possibility to set up a love triangle because Jean Grey is already the tip of the iceberg of the greatest love triangle in comic book history with Jean Grey, Scott Summers, and Wolverine. Why not put her right in the middle of another one? Let's say we create a little love triangle with her, Spider-Man, and MJ. Be that as it went. You know what? As a matter of fact, the Deadline article also is speculating that as for who Sink will be playing, the prevailing theory is that she'll be introduced as X-Men character Jean Grey. But don't count out the idea that she shows up as another redheaded Spider-Man character. But like maybe Gwen Stacy, maybe, who did I say? Felicity Jones?
Felicia Hardy.
Felicia Harding. Felicity Jones is a real person.
Who played her?
Yeah, maybe she's actually going to be her. But I think the writing's on the wall. I think she's going to, again, this is me speculating as a fan. Could be wrong, just speculating, just guessing. I think she's going to be Jean Grey. We're going to get our first in the Spider-Man with his Spider-Man and his amazing friends. So this is huge. This is huge for Sadie Sink. This is huge for Spider-Man 4. And this could be the first real big first step into bringing in the true proper X-Men into this universe. Anyway, guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Kikoff. Man, time flies, doesn't it? 1 minute, you're reminiscing about your last vacation, and the next, you're thinking about major life goals, like buying a car, getting that dream home. But if your credit isn't where it needs to be, those goals can feel out of reach. And that's where Kikoff comes in, the #1 credit building app in the App Store that makes it easy, affordable, and stress-free to build credit fast. And that's exactly why I love Kikoff. They give you a credit line for just building credit, not for spending. Your on-time payments get reported to the 3 major credit bureaus, helping helping you improve your credit mix and payment history, two of the biggest factors in credit growth. If your credit is under 600, you could see a jump of about 28 points in your first month. No credit check, no hidden fees, no interest, just smart credit building. Building credit can happen faster than you expect with Kikoff. Don't wait. Get your first month for just $1 at getkikoff.com/Campea. That's Kikoff without the C. Get 80% off at getkikoff.com/Campea. Must sign up via getkickoff.com/Campea to activate offer. Offer applies to new customers first month only, subject to approval. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions may apply. Point stat based on Equifax Vantage Score 3.0 changes for Kikoff users starting under 600 who made their first on-time payment between January of 2021 and March of 2024. Payment and credit activity outside Kikoff can have an impact on your credit. Individual results may vary. Rob, you heard about this story. You're the one who told me about this story, actually. You're the first person I heard this from. What do you make of this? What does it mean? Who she's playing? Your thoughts?
I have a different theory.
Okay.
I think she's going to play Angelica Jones, Firestar, a character that was introduced in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends cartoon. Because here's the thing. If you introduce Jean Grey, who's one of the key important X-Men figures, in a Spider-Man movie, I think it takes away from the importance of the character. But Firestar is a character that was created as a Spider-Man sidekick. And I think Jean Grey has to have a little bit more gravitas. Sadie Sink is young. And after all, it is Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends that she was introduced in. And I think it would be badass to see Firestar. I think watching them work off one another. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to be Jean Grey. I'm just saying, for me, the first thing that my mind went to was Firestar, because Firestar is a Spider-Man character that was literally created.
Does that mean you put Iceman in the movie too?
Well, I mean, that's that you never know. But then again, if you do bring in Jean Grey, I just don't like the idea of X-Men being introduced in Spider-Man. I think they deserve their own. Look,
it is a big launch. I mean, they introduced Black Panther in Captain America.
I know.
Civil War. It's a huge platform to launch that character.
I mean, I think Sadie Sink might be too. It depends on what they're going to do with the X-Men.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, but I just love. Look, do I really think that it's going to be Firestar? To be honest, no. But if I was making the movie, I would make Angelica Jones. I would make that because she looks like she could be Firestar.
Well, she also looks like she could be a younger Jean Grey.
It does, but I think.
But I mean, one of us brought up in the pre-show, we were talking about it's like it could be Gwen Stacy because yes, she has red hair, but you dye her. You pointed out
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Bryce Dallas Howard. You just dye her hair, and it's no big deal. So I don't know, Chris. What do you make of this, and who are you thinking Sadie Sink may be?
Oh man, I'm really glad you brought up Firestar. I actually had her profile up on my page of like, yeah, that could work. I think
she's a mutant.
She is a mutant, so we still get that. And I'm kind of with Rob here on, I like the idea of I don't want to say lesser mutant, but somebody who's not a team leader position being introduced in these other films. That being said, though, Jean Grey showing up at university with Peter, and she's dealing with horrific headaches and something goes wrong and that kind of thing. I think you can still play with that. I just wouldn't want it to take away from the Spider-Man story. I wouldn't want it to be this is really actually about Jean Grey, especially because there has a tendency in X-Men stories to really focus on Jean, and she's not my favorite. I'm going to be real honest.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of this character. So when you have somebody like Sadie Sink, that gives me a little bit more hope that we're going to do something interesting and different with her this time. I don't want to go diving straight into the Dark Phoenix saga. I don't want to do any of that.
I'm sure they won't do that.
We'll go for the fourth time around.
Yeah,
but that's why I just think she could be so much more fun. Firestar would be hers as opposed to emulating. You know, we've had 2 Jean Greys in movies.
Yeah.
And so if she was playing somebody new, it would be unique to her.
But then again, we are going to get a Jean Grey regardless.
Sure.
So
someone's going to play her.
The role, right?
I think, though, a Felicia Hardy is a really interesting choice here because we do have a Peter who no longer has any of his friends or support system. And I think it'd be interesting to play with, hey, no, I like you. I support you. I've got you. Sometimes I do a few things that are kind of bad. How do you feel about that,
right?
Pete? And I think that's a fun thing for him to explore as he is trying to be a superhero without a mentor. And I think that's something that Sadie Sink would have a lot of fun with as well.
A superhero whose alter ego has been wiped clean from the earth.
Yeah.
Right. So let me throw out a couple of things here. Number one, the idea, when I was just joking when I said Spider-Man is an Amazing Friends, But yeah,
What if it's actually called Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends?
Let me throw out a couple things here, just to kind of maybe quell this a bit. When they wanted to bring in characters for Spider-Man to play off of, they didn't go to the C bench. They brought in Iron Man. Right. Now, to your point, Christy, you brought up that maybe if we had Jean Grey in here, would run the risk of it becoming a Jean Grey story instead of a Spider-Man one. That was my exact fear that I had with the first Spider-Man movie. I thought it was going to be, oh, it's actually Iron Man 4 with special guest Spider-Man. Yeah. But they did a great job with it. It was clearly very solidly Spider-Man's movie, and Tony played a pivotal but a marginal role in it. Same thing with, again, we brought up Black Panther with Civil War, a pivotal but marginal role in it. And at some point, I think if they're looking at as a launch pad for X-Men to start paving the way for X-Men coming into the universe, depending on how they're bringing them in the universe, because a lot of us think they might be using multi-dimensional stuff in Secret Wars to ultimately bring them in. So this would go counter to that. But using your Spider-Man franchise as the launching pad for one of the characters would be an interesting idea. And I just wonder if she would just be, Firestar would just be too obscure of a character for them to bring in. Because don't forget, right now, one of the problems I think the Marvel Cinematic Universe is facing is overcrowding, is overpopulation. So we're about to get this glut of X characters coming in. Like literally, there's hundreds on the roster that can bring in. Do we extend that even more by bringing in some of these obscure started in thing? But I am with you. It would be kind of fun. And I would love to see Bobby Drake come in and create the threesome of the actual Spider Friends, the Amazing Spider Friends in there. That would be kind of fun. I just
love that cartoon.
I loved it as a kid, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was the kind of thing where it would be a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, and it would be something, look, it would be something that would make Spider-Man 4 unique. Mm-hmm. As opposed to being immediately tied to something else, the same way that Spider-Man is Peter Parker is no longer tied to the MCU at all. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
Now we're all purely speculating here. For all we know,
look, it's probably not.
She's his landlord in his apartment.
Yeah, it's probably not. Has nothing to do with Firestar.
Squirrel Girl.
It's finally done, and Mephisto at the same time.
Sweet.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think of by the way, none of us have commented on this. I love that Sadie Sink is joining the MCU.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah. She's great. We love her. So I love this. I'm still going to put my chips on that she's going to be Jean Grey. Just because that's what we've been thinking for a long time. But it could be anybody. Maybe it's Firestar. Maybe it's, I don't know, anybody else you can think of. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.